Tonight, 4 candidates will once again appear on the debate stage to address issues such as social division. With the presidential election 11 days away, the latest opinion poll shows the DP's Lee Jae-myung in the lead, with the PPP's Kim Moon-soo narrowing the gap this week. The U.S. is reportedly reviewing an option of relocating more than 4,000 American troops from South Korea to elsewhere in the Indo-Pacific, raising questions about what this could mean for regional security if realized. South Korea and the U.S. wrapped up the second round of tariff talks in Washington, focusing on 6 areas where the U.S. has reportedly addressed non-tariff barriers. The final deal will be sealed under the new government in Korea. It's May 23rd, 7 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We're coming on the air this evening an hour earlier than usual before the live presidential debate. And before that debate, which will cover societal issues, we begin our coverage with a gauge of voter sentiment. A recent survey by Gallup Korea shows that the liberal contender Lee Jae-myung is leading the polls, while his conservative rival Kim Moon-soo gained approval from a week ago to narrow the gap. Our political correspondent Oh Soo-young has the details.
With just 11 days until the June 3rd presidential election, the stakes are higher in the final public opinion polls and the candidates' televised debates. Gallup's final survey conducted this week shows the Democratic Party's Lee Jae-myung is still ahead with 46% support. But compared to a week earlier, his approval dropped 6 points, while his main rival Kim Moon-soo of the People Power Party has gained 7 points, narrowing the gap between them from 22 points to 10. Meanwhile, the Reform Party's Lee Jun-seok saw his support jump to 10%, marking 2-digit figures for the first time in this race. The final National Barometer survey on Thursday showed a similar trend. Lee Jae-myung lost 3 points, while Kim Moon-soo and Lee Jun-seok scored higher ratings at 32% and 10%. It seems conservative and moderates have been solidifying their votes as election day draws near. The gap between the main liberal and conservative candidates shrunk to about 1/3 of last week's level in the Seoul capital region.
If you look at the regional voter distribution released monthly by Gallup Korea, conservatives actually outnumber progressives. Given this numerical advantage, how actively conservatives are willing to vote in this election is, in my view, critically important.
Among independent voters who don't affiliate themselves with any party, preferences for the DPM reform candidates was neck and neck, while the PPP contender fell to 3rd place. Younger Koreans, regarded as swing voters, also made decisive moves. Among voters aged 29 and under, support for reform's Lee Jun-seok jumped to 26%, closely behind the DP's Lee Jae-myung's 30%. The PPP's Kim Moon-soo was significantly behind at 19%. As all candidates aim to solidify their support base, the number of respondents who said they could switch the candidate they vote for fell 1 percentage point to 16%. More than 8 in 10 people say they'll vote in this election. According to the MBS survey, voters believe the biggest task for the new president will be reviving the local economy, reforming the structure of politics, and reducing social conflict. The leading presidential hopefuls will hold a second televised debate on Friday night, focusing on societal issues. Regardless of their preferred candidate, Korean adults under 40 believe the Harvard-educated Lee Jun-seok performed the best at the candidate's first live debate last Sunday, which touched upon trade and the economy. Those in their 40s and 50s who are left-leaning overwhelmingly backed the DP candidate, and those over 70 believe PPP's Kim Moon-soo had outshined others in the TV debate. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Presidential hopefuls are gearing up for tonight's second face-off, having spent the day with minimal campaign activities. The DP's candidate wrapped up his trip to a southeastern village, where he paid tribute to late President Roh Moo-hyun on the 16th anniversary of his death, while the PPP's candidate attended a prayer breakfast in the morning, calling for unity. Our correspondent Shin Ha-young reports.
The rival parties' presidential candidates scaled back their campaigns on Friday ahead of their second televised debate this evening. Instead, Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung wrapped up his trip to Gyeongsangnam-do province after paying tribute to the late Liberal President Roh Moo-hyun on the 60th anniversary of his passing away.
While paying tribute to former President Roh Moo-hyun, I reaffirm my commitment to building a country where the people are respected as the rightful owners and can live happily.
Lee met former President Moon Jae-in for lunch, during which Moon said now was a crucial time for South Korea and urged Lee to take responsibility in creating a country that respects the people. With just 11 days to go to the 21st presidential election, key political figures from across the political spectrum gathered in Bongha Village, located in the city of Gimhae. Attendees of a memorial service included former President Moon Jae-in and his wife, National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik, and People Power Party interim leader Kim Yong-tae. In a social media post, Kim said former President Roh Moo-hyun put the country and its people first beyond political affiliation, and said he would remember Roh's hope for a world without injustice or privilege. Meanwhile, the PPP's Kim Moon-soo attended a prayer breakfast for the nation and its people, where he emphasized unity, saying that economic struggles and social division have worsened conflict. The PPP said Kim's support is growing and expressed hope that he could lead in the polls before early voting starts if the trend continues.
In the end, Kim Moon-soo's distinct character, proven skills, and clear vision will bring him victory. As the election passes the halfway point, support is starting to pick up across the country.
With the candidates set to fully resume their rallies after the debate, they are expected to put their utmost efforts into the final week of the official presidential campaign. 신하영, Arirang News, Gimhae.
Shifting gears, the U.S. is reportedly exploring the option of relocating more than 4,000 American troops from South Korea to elsewhere in the Indo-Pacific. The idea is yet to be confirmed by President Trump, but raises concerns over security on the Korean Peninsula. Our foreign affairs correspondent Pei-Yun-ji covers this report.
The U.S. is reportedly considering withdrawing around 4,500 American troops from South Korea to Guam or other locations in the Indo-Pacific region. That's about 16% of the total number of U.S. forces in South Korea, where there are roughly 28,500 troops. Citing defense officials familiar with the matter, the Wall Street Journal reported on Thursday that the idea is being developed by the Pentagon for consideration by Trump as part of an informal policy review. While adding the proposal has yet to reach Trump's desk, it said this is one of several ideas under discussion by senior officials. Since his first term, Trump has considered changing the U.S. footprint in South Korea, which relies on close coordination with American forces to deter threats from the north.
It depends. We pay for military over in Europe. You know, we don't get reimbursed by much. South Korea too.
But the head of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command has presented negative views about the idea of a troop drawdown in a Senate hearing last month, saying the loss of the force on the Korean Peninsula would mean a higher probability that North Korea would invade.
As General Brunson said, North Korea's development of advanced nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles pose a direct threat to our homeland and our allies, and are executing a deepening cooperation with Russia.
Trump has been hinting at an attempt to renegotiate a deal on sharing the cost for American troops stationed in Korea, saying Washington cannot be taken advantage of any longer in military and trade. He's described South Korea as a money machine, insisting that Seoul should be paying $10 billion a year. Experts suggest pulling troops out of Korea could mean the Trump administration is looking to redeploy them to areas that better align with priority goals, such as countering China.
What the United States is saying is, we're currently focused on China. So we want our allies to take responsibility in terms of conventional defense capabilities, while we are willing to fully support in areas such as nuclear deterrence. And in return, the U.S. is asking for help in preparing to respond to potential conflicts with China, especially in the event of a Taiwan contingency.
Seoul's defense ministry explained there hasn't been any discussions with Washington over a possible troop reduction. The Pentagon reportedly said there were no policy announcements to make. 배은지, Arirang News.
Trade officials of Korea and the U.S. ended their latest technical talks in Washington, where the U.S. reportedly addressed non-tariff barrier issues. A tangible deal is expected under the new Korean government. Moon Ji-young has the latest.
South Korea and the U.S. concluded the second round of working-level consultations in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. These talks come as South Korea seeks to negotiate product-specific tariff and the reciprocal tariff imposed by the Donald Trump administration. The Korean delegation, led by Jang Sung-gil, Director General of Trade Policy at the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, met with officials from the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative. The technical discussions focused on 6 key areas: balanced trade, non-tariff measures, economic security, digital trade, country of origin, and commercial considerations. The U.S. side reportedly raised specific issues concerning Korea's non-tariff barriers as detailed in the USTR's report from late March. That report listed 21 measures, including restrictions on imports of U.S. beef from cattle over 30 months old, digital trade barriers, and the offset defense trade policy. Washington wants Seoul to lower non-tariff barriers and expand imports from the U.S. to reduce trade deficits. The South Korean government intends to conclude negotiations with the U.S. after a new president takes office following the upcoming June 3rd election.
And once the election's over, then the new government, actually the administration team, is going to start negotiating. So if they make too much hasty decisions, and then if the new government is going to just, to flip everything, that's going to be super costly in terms of both reputation and also actual, the time and efforts.
Seoul aims to minimize the rates of the Trump administration's new duties, including 25% reciprocal tariff, as well as sectoral tariff, including 25% levies on automobiles, steel, and aluminum before July 8th, when Trump's 90-day suspension of reciprocal tariff ends. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
The U.S. is ending Harvard University's eligibility to enroll foreign students amid tensions between the school and the Trump administration, which is expected to affect hundreds of international students in that school. Lee Seung-jae has the details.
The Trump administration has barred Harvard University from enrolling international students moving forward. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security on Thursday, it has revoked the school's Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification, saying that Harvard has created an unsafe campus environment by permitting anti-American, pro-terrorist agitators to harass and physically assault individuals, including many Jewish students, and otherwise obstruct its once venerable learning environment. The DHS added that many of the agitators are foreign students. The latest ban also means that currently enrolled students at the Ivy League school must transfer or lose their legal status. The move comes as Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ordered the DHS to terminate the school's Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification due to the university's refusal to hand over the conduct records of international students as requested last month. In an interview with Fox News on Thursday, Noem said that her department is absolutely considering similar measures for other universities, including Columbia University. She stressed that what has happened to Harvard should be a warning to all other universities to get their act together. The Trump administration's revoking of Harvard's Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification means 6,800 international students enrolled in the school must transfer to keep hold of their legal status in the U.S. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Marc Chagall is well known as a master of color, memory, and emotion. Starting today, his timeless works are now on view here in Seoul. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin takes us inside a rare exhibition of the artist's world for this week's Arts and Culture segment.
Art has a unique ability to transcend time. One artist who has that power is Marc Chagall, often called the painter-poet of the 20th century. Chagall's works are known to blur the lines between dreams and reality, blending tradition with innovation, and where colors become emotions. More than 100 of his pieces have arrived in Korea for the Marc Chagall Beyond Time exhibition.
At first glance, Chagall's works may seem playful, full of vivid color and fairy tale-like shapes. But if you take a closer look, you'll be drawn into layers of meaning and emotion.
Chagall's works have visited Korea before, but this exhibition offers something never seen before.
These 7 works are privately owned, so it took months of persuasion to bring them here. As this exhibition marks 40 years since Chagall's passing, we hoped Korea would be the first place to unveil them.
Also drawing attention is Chagall's trademark, stained glass and ceiling works. Large-scale projections and soundscapes have recreated the ceiling of the Palais Garnier in Paris and stained glass windows from Israel's Hadassah Medical Center.
Stained glass and ceiling paintings aren't something you can display like traditional canvases. So we thought hard about how to present that part of Chagall's world. In the end, we created 2 immersive spaces, bringing in sound engineers and designing the setup with symbolic visual elements.
Rather than organizing his works chronologically, the exhibition unfolds through 8 thematic sections based on Chagall's life, such as his major commissions, Love for Paris, and Flowers.
We hope this exhibition isn't just an encounter with Chagall the artist, but with Chagall the human being. The paintings reflect his emotional journey, joy, sorrow, longing, and love.
You can explore Marc Chagall Beyond Time until September 21st at Seoul Art Center's Hangaram Art Museum. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
K-pop girl band aespa's hit Supernova won Best Song Asia, one of the main categories of the Music Awards Japan held in Kyoto on Thursday. On the second day of its 2-day ceremony, K-pop boy group 17 was also recognized with the special award Korean Popular Music for God of Music. And RM of BTS received Best of Listener's Choice for his collaboration with pop star Megan Thee Stallion. The debut edition of the Music Awards Japan was supported by major local music agencies and governmental organizations. In other news, the strategy of Korea's esports industry is to lower barriers and raise opportunities for all players with potential via inclusive competitions and more. Our Lee Eun-hee explores those events.
This group of people are university students in their everyday lives. But for this moment, they are the stars of the stage as gamers. The 2025 Gyeonggi Esports Festival has kicked off at Kintex, bringing together a diverse range of participants. This annual event strives to reshape the perception of esports and make it an integral part of everyday culture by making it more accessible. This year, the introduction of a tournament for disabled players adds greater meaning to the event. It shares the message that regardless of physical limitations, everyone can connect and enjoy the experience of gaming.
I have an intellectual disability, which makes it hard to express my emotions. I joined this tournament because it features a game I'm familiar with, so I felt confident. Whatever the result, I try to accept it and move forward.
Being here on the ground, we can clearly see just how much interest people of all ages in South Korea, a global gaming powerhouse, have in a wide variety of games. But beyond the popularity, what's truly striking is the growing effort to nurture new talents in the industry.
Debuting this year, the 2025 Korean Esports League kicked off with eternal return matches at the festival and continues with competitions across the country, including PUBG Mobile and FC Mobile tournaments. hosted by the Culture Ministry and co-organized by the Korea Esports Association alongside leading game developers including Krafton and Nexon Korea. The league aims to strengthen the foundation of the country's esports ecosystem. With teams from 14 regions participating, the league runs through October, providing a platform for the next generation of esports stars, the future fakers of Korea. Coming up in June, the Global Esports Forum hosted by the Korea Esports Association will bring together international experts to discuss global standards in esports, with Korea leading the conversation and paving the way for rising talents to take the global stage. 이은희, Arirang News.
It seems like the early summer-like heat has subsided. The daytime temperature in Seoul today and tomorrow will be 23 degrees Celsius, similar to the average temperature for this time of year. However, rain is forecast in the north-center parts of the country, the south coast, and Jeju Island from tonight. It will then expand to other parts of the country tomorrow. The expected amount of rainfall will be up to 60 millimeters on Jeju Island, 20 millimeters on the south coast, and 5 to 10 millimeters in other areas. Please prepare in advance if you have plans outside. Tomorrow morning, Seoul, Gwangju, and Busan will start off at 14 degrees, Jeju at 15 degrees. Highs will move up to 19 degrees in Daejeon, 15 degrees in Gyeongju. The early summer-like heat is expected to make a return from Sunday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.